麻烦中国的伙伴们把自己的名字修改一下，改成自己真实的拼音的姓名。这样的话，沃尔特老师好对上号。Is the music being shared? I cannot hear the music.
Being shared, but the connection is not good, I think.
Or maybe she didn't. There's different sharing options. You have to choose the one when you share, you have to optimize. There's a box you have to click on. Louise?
Yes.
Are you sharing the music?
Yes. Can you hear it?
Yeah, but very unclear. I think there's different sharing options. I suggest you stop sharing and restart. And when you start, you have to watch out. There's a button where you can choose optimize sound and videos.
Hello, Walter. This is Messiah. Can you hear me? Hello,
Morning.
Walter.
Walter's just on his way back. He's
Okay,
here.
excuse me, what?
Hi, Walter. This is Messiah. Good morning.
Hey, Messiah. Good morning.
I tried to check into the Zoom link, which you sent the latest one. But it looks like the link is linked to the yesterday's session.
Yeah, but you're now in the right session and it's also the right one for this afternoon.
Yeah, because I checked in through the previous.
It's okay.
email.
You're now in the right one, Messiah. You're in the correct one also for the afternoon.
Yeah, I think I'm okay but the other people,
Yeah, everybody received the right link. Also you just have to read your emails. Thank you.
okay, if you know that, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I already admonished Grace to do internets. Yeah, and now she still doesn't come.
There's like a storm. North.
Okay. Okay, there's Grace. Shen Li. Okay, dear friends, the internet connection from Manila this morning is very spotty, is very bad. So I'm very sorry that the music could not be heard properly, but we'll still do 2 minutes of silence now. Before then Grace will do the verse for the beginning. And yeah, we have 18 participants here. So far, we have still a Chinese platform where there's probably as many or more. And we did this morning, Luis sent out the proper link for this session. So I hope that everybody finds that. Anyway, all the participants always got the right link. Only myself made a mistake with the contributors, but I also already amended that in a mail yesterday. So this is the right link. If you're in here now, that's the right link for all sessions on Saturday and Sunday. And we'll just make a minute or two of silence before Grace does the verse, and then the official moderation of today, Seetha Anand from India, will take over.
Every human being is an artist, a freedom being, called to participate in transforming and reshaping the conditions, thinking, and structures that shape and condition our lives. Joseph Beuys. Good morning, everybody.
Thank you, Grace. And good morning, everybody. Namaste and Zhao Shanghao. Welcome to today's session. It's about agriculture, health, and children. All three very, very important for our future. And is Shen Li here? Dr. Shen Li already here?
He's just coming in this second.
Yes. So I will just wait for a second before we introduce. We have two speakers at the moment. We have Dr. Shen Li, and then we have Arifa Rafee from India. I have the privilege to introduce Dr. Shen Li. He works at the College of Educational Administration in Beijing. Normal University, is the Secretary General of the section of China, the Biodynamic Federation of Demeter International, and co-founder of Demeter China Association. And welcome, Dr. Shen Li.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very well.
Yes, we can.
Yes, I'm very happy and to take part in the forum. And it is okay. It's my time to deliver my presentation now.
That's right. Yes, Dr. Shen.
Yeah. I am very happy to be invited to give a short presentation about agriculture, health, and education. And I would like to talk about these topics of children, agriculture, health, and education, and from the perspective of diet. The current diet situation in China is just like an image, and each of us sails on the sea in a small boat, surrounded by seawater. But we have no water to drink, and because drinking seawater will cause sails to lack water and face the threat of death. And recently, and there is a Chinese middle-aged person, and his name is Xin Jifei. And he is a very good case and for today's China. And he is one of the most popular food science broadcasters on China's largest social media platform, TikTok. And he became very, very famous almost overnight, and for disclosing fake food just made from various additives in Chinese daily life. And so our daily life is full of food-like industrial products made of various chemical additives. And if we eat it regularly, and it is just the same as taking drugs and causing various diseases and facing the threat of death. And so most of the Chinese and think about how to solve this problem. And so when food security events occurred every day, and regardless of national policies and media expects or consumers, and they almost only focus on the unsafe food, but they pay little attention to the persons or the teams or the organizations that made these unsafe food. And so the people who make these unsafe foods are the source of the problem. And food in Chinese is made up of just two Chinese characters. Above is a man, and below and another is good. And so in Chinese, food is a good man. But it is not in reality. And the unsafe food made by good men, no, it is made by not very good person and who lost their consciousness and values And so we think about and how to change bad people into good people. So our history and traditions and tell us that only through education. And in Chinese character for education, and it is composed of two parts. The up is an upside down fetus, and below is the body. And so the Chinese character of education, it is not only the state and before the child is born, and but it also tells us the function of education is to change bad people into good people. And therefore, the solution to food and health lies in education, particularly food education. So in the past about 12 years, I committed myself to the development of Chinese food education. And so in the process of education, and we found and that food just comes from farming. And so Chinese food education and should be a complete education from farm to table. And so food and farming cannot be separated. The practice of food education in China proves that children are the core or play a key role and in food education in China. And there are several reasons and for this. And the first one, and children's sense of taste is still natural, not damaged by chemical additives or the fork food. They can quickly accept the natural and organic food without any difficulties. And so as to they can develop health eating habits. And second, and half of the income of Chinese families is spent on children. Parents and paid great attention to children's diet and health. And so they would like to buy natural or organic foods and for children and for the other members of family. And the third, the first educational content of kindergartens in China is health. And so the food education has become the most important curriculum in Chinese schools and kindergartens that practice food education and can greatly improve school tendency and reduce drug use rates. And so food education is very, very popular, or more and more popular in Chinese schools, particularly in Chinese kindergartens. So finally, and I will give you the conclusion. And from the practice of food education in China, and children are closely to the kind, natural, and pure nature of people. And generally, they like natural, pure, and healthy food more than adults. They have a higher appreciation ability than adults, and they are more supportively than adults, and for organic farms and organic agriculture. And so children and could be healthy children are worth our trust. Just the children represent the future of humanity in China and other countries. And so this is my short presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Shen Li. We have Arifa, but before I introduce Arifa, does anybody have any questions to ask Dr. Shen Li?
Shen Li, I have one question. I'm not sure if I heard that correct. Did you say the half of the income of the parents is spent on children or is spent on children's food?
On children, not only children's food, but also clothing and learning, education, and so on.
Thank you.
I have a question.
I have quite a few other comments and questions, but maybe for later. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
For a short, concise, and so inspiring presentation. Thanks.
Yes.
So we do the questions later.
Yeah, Grace has a question. Please go on, Grace.
Dr. Shen Li, thank you very much for that short presentation. It's amazing that you actually really pinpointed how important food is, especially for the children, the future of our world.
Yes.
My question is, this is actually also of concern to us here in the Philippines, a third world country. When I look at the school, the public schools, there are outside the public schools a lot of stalls. Many poor people are also selling just very, very simple junk food. So it's not true that parents do not make the effort to actually give their children a little bit of money so that they can buy something for their snacks. But most of the time, the snacks cannot actually be considered food. How are you actually doing that in the public schools in China? Is there actually an attempt to make the food that the children receive healthy?
Yes, Chinese public schools, and they are the same problems. And that it just the main reason, and that our team will introduce the children's food education into the schools, particularly the public schools. And most of the schools we introduced food education are public schools because I am from Beijing Normal University. And so my main responsibility of working is to teaching the principles from the public schools. And but after we introduce the children's food education and into any public kindergartens and schools, and so in our classrooms, and we will tell all the children and what is the difference between organic foods, or the natural foods and the junk foods. And so after class, and when the children and go home, or when they go to the restaurants and which sells the junk food, and so the children and will understand and what is different and between them, and so the children will likely to give up junk food. And so that is the importance of children's food education. And but in the public schools, they are no children's food education. And so most of the children are likely to eat junk food, and because in the TVs and public magazines and many social medias and are full of the advertisement of junk foods. And so this is my answer to you.
It's a big task. Thank you very much. I'm very glad that you're trying to do that. I think we have a long way to go in the Philippines. But it's basically the same problem. We have so much strength in advertisement, and there's just nothing that's actually advertised that's worth considering. It's all just junk, and it's all made up to be the best and the most delicious and the most nutritious, but it's nothing but a combination of chemicals. That's the sad reality.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Shen Li. I have a question too. Generally in India, Chinese food is added with MSG monos, or what we call locally Ajinomoto. And we are told that this is an addictive ingredient. So people who consume this, they will not appreciate natural foods later because they crave for this. And there were at one point I was trying very sincerely to avoid this, and in a Chinese restaurant I told them that I'm allergic. I might even something might happen to me if I consume, so please tell me if it is there in this. In the beginning they said no, it's not there, we will not add it on your plate, on your dish. But when I said I'm allergic, I will react, they said I think it could be in the source of the product that we source. So is it true that traditionally, I'm sure traditionally this was not so in the Chinese foods. So how prevalent is the use of MSG in China itself, and what should we do to combat this? Because it's even entered Indian cooking. We call that tasting salt. Cooks who do mass cooking, they just indiscriminately buy this product and add it to even Indian dishes, which are absolutely not required. Anything you can throw your light on to combat this evil ingredient?
中文翻译，请你给我稍微简单的翻译一下，因为里面有一些词我没听懂，什么 EMSG 什么的。
Shen Li, you're speaking Chinese now, huh? We don't understand.
Yeah, I later the English translator and help me translate answers because I didn't understand and some key words and in English.
I see. Sorry.
Sorry about that. Aiwa, can you
Yes.
help?
中文翻译在吗？
Yes, 在
EMSG 是什么？
我这
I
边
think
是在中文频道，我
Amerigo
听不
has
见
to
英
help
文。
us here. Amerigo, can you please help us?
哦，
I am in the Chinese channel, so I cannot hear the English.
Dr. Shen Li, would it help if I briefly pose my question in slow English?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the ingredient MSG, which we call
yes.
here locally Ajinomoto, and
Yeah.
it's an addictive ingredient. So people
Yeah.
who eat it, they crave for it again and again, and they cannot appreciate natural food after they have eaten this for some time.
Yeah.
And we are told that even in the source of Chinese products, like ingredients, like noodles, like uncooked noodles, or certain pastes, all those contain MSG. And how to combat this? And traditionally, I am sure Chinese food did not have MSG, but now it is there in every product almost. Can you throw some light on how to combat this evil, evil product?
Yeah. Yeah, I see. In the traditional Chinese cooking or Chinese food, there is no MSG, but in the today's Chinese restaurant, but most of the restaurant just use the additives just like that. So I will also say the importance of children's education and for the people's eating habits just be established before about 15 years. And so the children like the natural and healthy foods without any additives, just from the early ages, and they will have the very, very good eating habits. And so when this kind of children and went to the restaurant, and they will tell themselves there are some chemical additives and in the food, in the dishes of this restaurant. And so they will like refuse or seldom to go to the public restaurant for foods. And so in the Japanese and Chinese food education and for children, and almost all the teachers and will tell the children, and we had better eat at home, and we will stay at home and for mother-made dishes. It is okay?
Yes, yes, thank you. I think home cooking and eating
Yeah,
together
yeah,
as a family, making, cooking a family affair is so important.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Shen Li.
My pleasure.
Yes, Grace.
I'd like to say something.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I think one of the things we need to look into is to provide an alternative to MSG. That means, and that's my wish actually, that we come up with herb salt. In Europe, that's very popular. You can just go to a health food store and really get different kinds of herb salts. And here in the Philippines, that's actually not common at all. So if we can grow our own herbs, dry them really well. And here in our climate, that's not so easy because of the very high humidity. So the challenge is to actually come up with a very good mixture of herbs, put really good sea salt, and then make that readily available so that we can have an alternative. That's one of the key things that we're actually looking into, because if we cannot provide an alternative, the people will always get stuck to something that's readily available already. So even here, even the rice is actually advertised. You can buy a little packet, put that in your rice. Again, it's a business, it's an advertising thing. Before, rice was just rice. Now nobody can imagine rice without this little packet that needs to be added so that it's supposed to taste better. It's really an outrage.
Yes, it is.
And then another thing that we've also tried to do, which actually apparently works, it's slow, but it works. It used to be when I was in the Manila Waldorf School, and the college of teachers would go out and we would go to a little store. We would always ask, is there MSG here? We made it such a huge drama that it shouldn't have any MSG. Yes. And we always added some little bit of information why MSG was not good. Eventually it became so that these little stores would actually then start to advertise no MSG added. Like it was a plus factor that their store could actually offer food that did not have MSG. So it really depends on us as consumers, also as customers, to actually raise consciousness that we don't need this MSG all the time and everything.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for adding that, Grace. Yes, absolutely. I think conscious eating, conscious consumption is so
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
important.
yeah.
When we talk about, meditative states, we want to be in a conscious state in a way. So I think in our daily lives too, if we are conscious at every point, being present in the moment and asking what we're doing, what we are consuming is so important. Thank you, Dr. Shen Li. There are a couple of questions in Chinese font, which I'm not able to understand. It's there in the chat box. Are they just comments or are
They're
they
just translations for the Chinese audience. I think
Right.
if there will be questions from the Chinese audience, they will be put in English language.
Right, right. Thank you. So can we move on to the next speaker? Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Shen Li?
Many questions, but we'll keep them for later.
Right.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Sure. Thank you. I will now introduce Arifa Rafee, who's the co-founder and co-owner of AR4 BioFresh, a biodynamic farm and delivery service in the vicinity of Hyderabad in South India. She has been a network engineer, she's been a bank officer, and later trained in biodynamic farming methods at BKK Farm. She has dedicated her time towards farm development after resigning her job to explore agripreneurship. She is actively engaged in the day-to-day operations of the farm, including preparation of organic fertilizers and pesticides on the farm, along with marketing her own produce. She is presently treasurer of Biodynamic Association of India. Welcome, Arifa, and please share your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, Seetha. So greetings to all, because I'm sure there are different time zones. So yeah, greetings everyone. So here I would just like to talk from my experiences at the farm. We are doing farming since 2007. When I decided that, we should be doing organic farming. We had purchased this land, which was a virgin land, and we thought something has to be done on that, and we explored many options and found that organic farming was just picking up. And when I searched about it and I saw the wonderful effects and how organic farming contributes to the environment and all that, we figured that this is what we are going to do. When I started the organic farming, it was not very prevalent in our area, so had to do a lot of research on Google and take help online and start this. So at that time, my kids were just 5 years old, 9 years or 10 years around, and 14 years. I have 3 kids. So we thought the best thing is when, as they say, knowledge or the teaching starts from home. So we thought the kids also should be actively involved when we are doing the farming activities. And we brought them to the farm every weekend, where we would show them how we are slowly shaping our farm. As I told you, it was a barren land. So they were also quite excited being at that age to work with the soil and, to make their hands dirty. And initially we thought it was just a fun activity for kids, where they would come spend some time like a picnic, and they would just get involved into it. But then slowly what we were observing with them was they were becoming conscious about it. Like, for example, when we started purchasing plants and we were planting it, and we told them, see, Vita, we are going to have a lot of activity in the farm and a lot of investment that is going to go in the farm. So maybe we are going to curtail some of the expenses, and we are, we will have to think financially, because we are going to build a beautiful farm. And what we slowly understood was kids would start calculating when they had to spend on something. They would say, Mama, if I save this money, we are going to buy 3 plants, isn't it? So, they started becoming conscious about how they can contribute to the farm by saving their money. And, will those plants be named after us? Will they be for our section of plants? So, this excitement with which they were taking part in the day-to-day activities of the farm and all that was really overwhelming for us. We said, yes, this is how you teach kids the importance of food. And slowly what they started understanding was it is so difficult to raise crops. We tried to do paddy in a small patch, and they saw how difficult it is to grow paddy, how much water is used to grow paddy. And then they said, no, Mama, we cannot waste food, isn't it? And there will be people who are hungry, and we should not be wasting this food. So this was a growth process that they were getting to. And slowly they started talking about this with their friends. They started telling their friends how important the food is, and they understood the difference between chemical food and organic food. And the moment, because they were interacting with us, they were seeing our learnings, they were so happy to know that organic food makes such a big difference. And you will be surprised that we never had Coke in our fridge at all from that time. I'm talking from since 2007. Coke was a banned thing by the kids. It wasn't that we had to inculcate in the kids that let them not have Coke. Okay, there are few things they definitely wanted as kids to indulge in the fast foods, but very rarely they would say, Mama, can we have this just once a month thing? Let us not make it a regular thing. So regular food habits for them was what was cooked at home, and a healthy food which was available even outside. So they became so conscious about these things, and then they started bringing their friends to the farm. How important it is to learn how farming is done. They got attached to the cattle. We named all our cattle. The cows we had with names, gave them names. And they started reciprocating with the cattle, and they would ask, how is Kajal doing? Kajal is one of the cows, their favorite cows. So even now when they are abroad, they check how is Kajal doing. Okay, so that is the kind of connect, I think, which kids usually should build. So it's not just because, of course, that's what even our kids say, that they were blessed to have a farm where they could work on, which is not the case with many of the kids. But of late, there is a concept of weekend farming that is happening. And, we tell the kids to come down to the farm and get involved in the activities, in the BD preparations, where, you have to, when we are making CPP and when we are doing the stirring, how the energy transfer takes place and how we are giving our own energy when we are stirring. It really imparts a lot of positivity to the kids. And when we think of all these things, if in good olden days kids would be allowed to play outside, nowadays we say don't play in the mud, don't get your hands dirty, be neat and all that. But then in the good olden days, we were allowed, as kids, we were allowed to play in the sand and build sand castles and do whatever we could do with the soil. Nobody would really matter. Stop that. I think that definitely helps. As I was checking with so many other things, it helps in the locomotor skills of the child at the very early stage of education or the childhood days. I think Waldorf schools encourages that, where gardening is one of the activities that is done, which is really good, as they know how to control the hand-eye coordination. I think becomes really effective with all these things. with all these activities. So when we are doing it at the farm, that's what we try to, we encourage families to come and participate in our activities, so that, you know, the kids are able to understand the importance of how soil is important for your health, and, you know, how the organic food, in a way we are teaching the parents as well as the children how organic farming is so important. When they come to an organic farm, they breathe without any problems of inhaling chemicals. Whereas when you go to a chemical farm, they definitely have those chemical traces in the air. And all this, when they see, I think the weekend farming is something which we are encouraging, so that you know, the families are involved in the farming activities, along with learning how, which helps them to choose organic food, which is very, very important for us. And yeah, when we are also, you know, this is a kind of togetherness where a bonding is taking place. And we see that, you know, they, when they leave the farm, at the end of the day, they are conscious for the environment, of how they are contributing to the environment. And you know, they make some healthy choices. So that is one thing. And the other thing in the farming, what we understood again from our kids learning it, is that, you know, sometimes the crop is not good owing to the weather conditions. You don't have a great crop every year. So they understand that, you know, everything need not be a successful all your hard work need not result in a success. Sometimes you have failures. Sometimes you have to take it with a pinch of salt, that, you know, this is what you get despite of the efforts. We put the efforts equally every year, but then the weather may not really be on your side. So when the crop doesn't come up well, kids learn to understand that there is a failure also along in the line of success. So you have to learn to take it properly. And how this translates to them when they are going in their future, because now they are all in colleges, and we see that they are more confident when they are talking about the environmental issues, when they are talking about the food choices that they make. Even abroad, they say, Mom, I think we don't mind spending a little more, because we have to you know, opt for organic food. So this is how I think their cognitive skills also are developed, where they are analyzing situations, and they are taking the right decisions for that. So so here, when we are talking about, when we involve the kids in agriculture or the gardening, they learn how important it is to grow food from seed to a plant to the fruit that it bears. And sometimes the plant may not bear fruit. So, you know, they are getting prepared for their future endeavors also. So here, I think agriculture not only teaches how to be connected to the soil, how to make healthy choices. It also teaches life lessons, like how we can take it up as what you know, the failures and the successes, how to take it in your stride, and how to make conscious efforts. And that's what, again, when they went to the schools and colleges, they definitely spoke to their peers. They told them how important it is to be environment friendly. And I'm so proud that they, you know, they don't use plastic. So they are very, very particular about that. And they are ridiculed for these things also at some time. You know, you can't be that particular, but then as they have lived this life for so many years, they feel that it is very important that they follow that life pattern as their own. So this is something which is very important as we learn at the farm. And I thought I would just share some pictures of theirs to just make this a little more lively. So if I can just share the screen. Can you see the screen? Can you see my kids on the screen?
We
Is
can
it-
see the screen, but only very small, the individual pictures.
Okay, let me just
They're
share.
not yet projected big, Arifa.
You,
Yeah,
you may have to open them before you go to the sharing.
Right. I think I'll do that. Please just give me a minute so that. Now, can you see it?
Yes, now we can see it.
Yeah. So yes, this is a picture that was taken in 2000. 2009, where the kids are so little, and now
And are those mango seedlings?
yes,
in the
these
back?
are mango seedlings, and they are just planting it.
How big is this farm, Arifa?
This is 21 10 hectares.
10 hectares.
Yeah. So this is the paddy field, which it just, and when the mangoes have just started producing in 2012, so you can see how happy they are. And this is the BD 500 that we are stirring.
The pictures are not moving, Arifa. The pictures still
There's
the
only
first.
one picture, Arifa. You need to just.
Okay.
They're still with the first picture. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is the BD 500 that. Are you able to see it now, Seetha?
Yes. This is the.
Yeah, this is after they are grown a little. Yeah. Yes. So this is about our farming, what we do, and how we involve kids, and this is ours is mostly a family run thing, so the whole family is involved in it, and that is how we think the bonding and the learning happens. So that's all from me today. So yeah, Seetha.
Yeah, thank you for that very heartfelt sharing. And when you mentioned about the children calculating, I had tears in my eyes, and it's so much of connectivity with nature, and this just happens spontaneously and so unconsciously. That's the way it should be. And thank you so much for sharing it. It really touched, I'm sure, all our hearts. So I throw the floor open for questions. Anybody has any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, please, Grace.
Arifa, for us, one of the most critically important things to work on is actually to look for workers on the land. It's not easy to actually, for us at least, it's not been easy to get farmers or to get people who actually really want to work on the land. So I'd like to know how you actually did it at the very beginning. How did you get people to help you to carry this whole vision with you?
Yeah, Grace, even at our place, it's a very difficult thing. And to be very honest, the first 2 years were very daunting. When, the labor knew that we are new to this field and we may not be having all the experience. So they started exploiting us with various ways, whether be it financially or emotionally. And I remember there was a point of time where my BP hit rock bottom. And, and I then realized that, maybe I'm taking it too much on myself, because one thing what we used to do was we did our work ourselves also. We would go and work in the farm, but then that is not enough. You definitely need help. And when these people knew about it, they were exploiting. Then I said, no, then we have to think some other strategy. This is not the way. I can't let it take toll on my health. So I think I just took a break of 1 week and I just relaxed, and I said, no, we have to tell them that we can do it ourselves if you're not available. Okay, so that is one thing which I went into it full-fledgedly. I said, if you cannot help us, see, we are keeping you as help for us. It's not that you're going to teach me something. And because they started thinking that, we do not know the nuances of farming, so we can be exploited. So once we took control of this, Rafee and I, we thought we just stopped the labor for a few days, and we said, if you are interested to work on our terms and conditions, you have to do it. And since then, one thing we have understood is no one is indispensable. We get people, but then sometimes it becomes critical with respect to time. And especially in the season, if we are ready to pay a little more, because the harvesting and all that we cannot postpone those activities. But other than that, we have automated most of the things. The water, everything is automated. So they know that, without them, we can still survive. So I think that is one thing where, we could really make a difference there at our farms, because we see so many other farms struggling because of lack of labor. But then touch wood, so far, I think this was in 2010 when I hit the, I don't know, on health level, I had a problem. But then since 2010, there is no turning back. And we always have people who are there available when you need them. And that is another thing, we have also developed a rapport with them. And I think that is somewhere taking charge of things. I think once I took charge of things and I said, I know how to do it. And, when I sit down to knead the cow dung, they are like, okay, when she can do it, we better do it. So otherwise we don't get the money that, because for them also it's a chemical free job. So their health is so good. So we have a regular set of labor who look forward to come to our farm, whereas all the other surrounding farms are chemically loaded farms. So, they know their health is in good hands. So I think that is one more thing which they understand, and definitely they have understood they are not indispensable. So this is one thing that has. Right.
There is a question. There is a question from a Chinese participant to Dr. Shen Li, but I think also Arifa can say something to that. Today's Chinese children often dislike food made at home. They like eating outside, even McDonald's or Kentucky Fried Chicken. How shall we understand this phenomenon?
Yeah, as I have mentioned with our kids, we mostly, as today's children, they want statistics. they are so, I mean, they would like to do Google online. They would like to go online, Google and learn their things. So that's what we tell them. You please check what is there in McDonald's, KFC. And as I said, we tell them, have it once in a while. Don't kill your cravings. And because you feel, those are things which everyone is having, and why are they deprived of it? So I think maybe my kids have McDonald's or KFC maybe once a year. So that is the frequency that they have opted for themselves, that once a year when they go on a vacation. So vacation time is something unhealthy time for them. So I think that is when they have it. Otherwise, they themselves, I remember after we took up the farming and all that, they saw a video by Al Gore, and they stopped because in India, we celebrate the festival Diwali, and as kids, they love to burn crackers. But I remember 2011 onwards, they saw this video and they said, we are not going to, indulge in crackers. So it was their own conscious decision. I think we need to tune them to take their own conscious, healthy decisions. If we tell them, if we force it on them, I don't think it really works. So that's my personal experience.
May I add to that? So when I was working in a Waldorf kindergarten, I remember a child used to eat tomato sauce with a spoon, not like as a side dish, but he would eat it as a main dish. And I knew that this was laden with chemicals. And I actually spoke to a doctor, and what I was told is some of these packaged foods have additives which are addictives. So you eat, like there is a advertisement that says you just can't stop with one. So it's literally that. So we are slowly getting our children addicted to these things, and it requires immense conscious collective work. We need to bring in synergies, people who think alike like us. We need to get families like us to party together. We need families like us to go for picnics together, eat healthy food together. I think in India, we use this term called satsang for spiritual communion, like, people come together. I think this kind of satsang to eat right food is more important today. To save our children from the onslaught of junk, because addiction is something that is so beyond control. And there's so much peer pressure, and I think we need synergies of people who think like us, eat like us, to come together. I mean, it's an ongoing journey, I guess. Thank you, Arifa, for that sharing. Yes.
And I will go say some words and about the questions. Because in the many years before I went to Beijing Normal University, I worked in the section of China of McDonald's. And so I know more information than other people about McDonald's. And McDonald's spent a very, very long time and spend a lot of money in investment in the marketing and advertising for children. And perhaps no people know the first consumer of McDonald's is a little kid. And so in the first McDonald's restaurant, and when they opened the door and to the consumers, they were waiting for many times, and just a little kids and come to the restaurant and buy the first dishes and for McDonald's. And so just from the beginning of McDonald's, and McDonald's and focus on their cooperation identity system and marketing and advertisement and on children. And I will give you an example. And there is a very famous McDonald's commercial. And that ad just won the World Advertisement Award. And in the picture of this ad, and a little kids swing at home. He swing around, swing to the window. The little children is laughing. And when she swing back, but stop the smile just when the camera moved and just outside the window. And there is the golden arches of McDonald's. And so I give you this example and to tell you that McDonald's promotion or the marketing policy is just beginning from the cradle, just from our children from very young age. And so how to solve this problem? I also give you another example. And just in the United States, and there is an unprofitable organization, and it is called American Mamas Anti-McDonald's Association. And so many American mamas, and they come together and to try their best to do everything and to keep their children away from McDonald's restaurant. And so finally, I still ask all of us to pay more attention to the children's food education. And because our eating habits just established from the middle aged. And so if we can learn from the marketing policy of McDonald's, and we just begin our work just from the children when they are very young. And so through the children's food education, and we tell our kids that we should better eat at home, and we tell them and how to know and which is junk food and which is organic food. And that's all.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shen Li. There is a question from a participant. Is Alzheimer's widespread in India? That's the question. Do you want to answer that, Arifa?
Yeah, Seetha, there is some disturbance in my connection. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. When compared to the West, I think Alzheimer's is not as widespread as it is in the Western countries. Yeah, I think the earlier generation was more conscious in eating habits. We are scared of the present generation that may, go towards all these kinds of diseases, because our grandparents lived long, and even for that matter, my mother-in-law lived healthy till she passed away at the age of 86. So I think the previous generations were conscious eaters, and I think that is what contributed to it. So when compared to West, Alzheimer's is less in India. That's what I think. Isn't it, Seetha? You can add to this.
Yeah, I am a member of ARDC. It's the Association of Mental Retardation, Dementia, and Alzheimer's patients. And my own in-laws, not my father-in-law, but my mother-in-law had a form of dementia towards the end of her life. She died when she was 90, and the last 5 years she had dementia. I can see that it is slowly on the rise. It's definitely not like in the West, but definitely we are getting there, unfortunately. And it's the food, lifestyle habits, including the implements that we use, the kind of metals we use. I'm sure all that is adding on, and it is on the rise. That much I can say, that it is on the rise, because we have this association and I see so many patients. And we have a group that tries to help. So I do know that it's on the rise. Yeah, but like Arifa said, it's not like in the West. Our eating habits in India, even the street food, is still not as bad as in the West. It is getting bad. We use cottonseed oil, unfortunately, which is GMO. I think 98% of our cotton is GMO, unfortunately, and that's one of the reasons for the farmer crisis in India. And the oil got from that dirty cotton seed is what is used for cooking. It shouldn't even be used on your skin, but it's being used for cooking now, and that's going to have disastrous results in our health condition. So all the more reason that we need awareness creation. And I just wanted to share something that we did through our foundation, is to get fit young boys and girls, like people who are fit, who go to the gym and muscular, who eat healthy, to speak to young children. They hero worship those people. So more than we adults telling or their parents telling to eat healthy, these kids oh, I want muscles like that. Anna is older brother. I want you, to be like that person. And when they say that we are like this because we eat so, and they cook together, and that's something that we encourage the older children to speak to the younger ones. That's kind of worked in most cases. Yeah, something I wanted to share. Yeah, there's one more question. Yes, any other questions?
Actually, Ben, I'm not sure, Ben Campbell, did you also want to add to the question before, Ben, how to the children and the food, or was that just a chat contribution?
That was just chat distribution, but yeah, when they was talking about food and going to McDonald's, there was a popular DVD a couple years ago, 2007 or 8, called Food Inc. And they talked about how food was being processed, how animals were being raised, and the GNO manipulation and things like that. So I just wanted to, they have it translated into many languages, and I thought I'd offer that information out there. It would try to change a young person's mind once he sees this DVD, if he could. And I don't have children, but I thought it might help.
Can you put it in the chat box, the correct title? Thanks.
Yeah. So the Food Inc. Just Food Inc. It's a DVD and has a picture of a cow with a barcode stamped on the side of it. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting film for young people. That would kind of scare them into going to McDonald's anymore. We try to tell people to buy food with no barcode. Get it locally from your farm. Don't buy barcode food. Don't go to supermarkets and support refrigerators, electricity. So we'll talk more about stuff like that when I get to talk.
Seetha, can I say something?
Yes, please.
I think we're also at this point in time when we have to think about parents who know nothing better, actually. So we're not only dealing with a generation of children who are actually victims, we actually have a generation of parents who are totally in the dark too about healthy food. And I think we have to go backward and we have to educate parents, we have to educate teachers. They don't know any better. So it's a major crisis. It's the same thing with the issue of what is biodegradable and not biodegradable. Many of the people have not the faintest idea what the difference is. So we can't just take things for granted. We have to go back to basic things. Like many don't understand what the difference is between whole grain rice and just white rice. They think it's just it's a concept that's empty. Or some people think if it's brown eggs, it's automatically organic. We have to deconstruct so many things that are actually so entrenched in the consciousness of people, which are actually all wrong.
Dr. Shen Li got it right when he said that we need to educate the children. You can start them young, start the education at a young age about food, about how and where it's coming from and what it takes to grow this food and the people that grow it.
Yes.
And made a good point there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor.
Does anyone else have something valid to add to this? It need not be a question, but something that's worked, and how do you deal with this? This is something we need every single strategy to, combine all those strategies to deal with this. So anybody else has anything to share, please come forward.
May I share what we're doing in Cebu?
Please,
yeah.
Please introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Grace Ferreros. I'm a Waldorf educator here in Cebu. I'm a very passionate Waldorf educator since 1998. And what I am doing now, I have a project with families in the dump site and with street children. And I'm bringing the Waldorf-inspired program for their daycare centers. And what's central in our program is gardening. And so parents were trained into the importance, of course, of the Waldorf approach, including gardening and the importance of gardening. I'm very passionate about this because it's also what I took in my doctoral dissertation. And so I'm practicing what I wrote in these communities and in one private school here in Cebu, where gardening is integrated in the curriculum and it's really part of it, and parents are trained. And the parents' realization was that before, when they did gardening, they would shoo the children away because they didn't want the children to be dirty or to disturb them. But now they realized how happy it is for them and for the children to participate in gardening. And of course, in the dump site, they don't have much land, so they plant in pots. But in the relocation site, they have a big garden. So I'm just so happy that they're so happy gardening and harvesting now. And the children cook what they harvest. And in the private school, what we initiated was having each class take care of a long plant box. And so they have vegetables for each level, what's appropriate for them to plant and to cook. And it's been really amazing how interested the children are. And the children in the private school are the ones who influence their parents. So they start gardening at home. But for the dump site and the street children, we really started with the parents. And now what we do is, since we don't have a farm, we partner with a farm, with an organic farm in the south. And we also bring once in a while children to a place in the city where they can plant trees. So we've planted cacao trees because that's the place and that's what they grow there. So the children started planting cacao trees, and then they see how the cacao is processed into chocolate, and then we drink hot chocolate. And so they get to appreciate now planting and gardening because they enjoy the process and they enjoy eating the produce afterwards. So that's what we're doing now. And I'm just so passionate about that because I think that the only way we can reverse in some way the climate disasters is bringing children back to nature. And that's the most important part in Waldorf education that I'm bringing to the children now. So just wanted to share that. Thank you
so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, well, I just want to say that I'm just also blessed that there is a funding organization that supports my efforts. Yeah.
Oh. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Sudarshan from Nepal. I was wondering if you could also add something to this question with the children. Do you have children also in your farm?
Yeah, past, yeah, my nephew is living, yeah, he's living with me, and but now, yeah, he left us. But yeah, in the village, lots of, yeah, I think in Nepal and India we are same. Most of people, when I'm doing biodynamic and organic, in the side, the villagers or relatives, they all are watching us, what you are doing, what we are doing. Yeah, they are looking, yeah, is really organic is working or not. When I'm talking about the no chemicals side, they all are watching us, how it is growing. And yeah, and it's really work. If it grow well and then really, oh, it's working. And then oh, so it is really helping to them to go organic, and now this is a good talk and good thing for them too. Thank you.
I have a question to Arifa, and maybe also Grace Ferreros has something to say to that. Arifa, you mentioned that your children, I was very impressed when you said your children, you know, when they learned to grow the crops, they found the food cannot be wasted, no? And I'm always, yeah, of course, we have different ways where we waste food at home, in the fridge, in the restaurant, but I also see that very much on the market. You know, in the local market, there's a lot of veggies that are kind of, you know, they are brought and then they are kind of, you know, they spray some fluid on them so that they look fresh. And at one time, yeah, they cannot be sold. They're trying to make something out of it, but a lot goes to waste also. And I understand you, Arifa, you have a very smart way of marketing. And also already Ben mentioned that also here in the chat, the community supported agriculture. I think those are, you know, what can you tell about how you market and about the food waste that you maybe still have to do or avoid?
We take up composting, Walter. So for even composting is part of our whole, even at the farm as well as at the home. Definitely cooked food is not composted, but then we try at our place, we see to it that, you know, we cook as much as necessary. And yes, as Ben has written, refrigeration has changed things. We try to minimize the usage of refrigerator. So in my refrigerator, it is mostly seeds, and Not the leftovers.
That's nice.
We try to keep as little leftover as possible. The last time, I mean, the kids came for the summer vacation of Europe. They're studying in Europe now. So when they came home, my daughter was commenting, it is an art to order the right quantity of food in the restaurant. And mom, you really excel that. Okay, because depending on the number of people, I am very particular about ordering, and the people start feeling those, the group with which we go, or, they start feeling, why is she being so stingy in ordering? But then my point is very clear that let us not waste food, and we don't have to carry food from the restaurant. And even when I'm preparing food at home, I see to it that, we don't prepare more, and it is not wasted. And I think that is what I'm trying to teach kids also. As we say, kids learn from us directly. They are just learning from observing us. So, that part. And as Grace said, we have to teach the parents now of how to select things and how not to waste stuff. Here we live in a community where I keep interacting with people, and I keep telling how important it is that we go towards organic, and as at the same time we are also into dry waste segregation and composting. So we are trying to do our bit in the community where we live. So it's that, and only through practice what you preach. I think that is the only way we can communicate to others. And because we interact with so many other conscious people, so kids move in, like, Seetha and I are good family friends. So, kids know that, when we are communicating, even amongst, as she said, we should be partying or we should be going on picnics with known like-minded people. That's how kids learn. You're right. So when we started plantations, there were so many we have people who are practicing biodynamic farming, and there were so many visits from them. So our kids were interacting with those people, and I was allowed to one of the biodynamic farm because my kid wrote a letter to him, to the farmer. Otherwise, farmer doesn't prefer visitors because he prefers to concentrate on, farming, and he doesn't want to waste his time in entertaining visitors. So only when my younger daughter wrote a letter, uncle, I would really like to visit your farm and, see how your farm, we are coming for vacation that side of the country. So, it would be nice interacting with you. He said, okay, when a kid is showing this interest, it's my duty to, open my gates to you people. So I think that is how we just inculcate habits into the kids. So yes, I think we just do from our part. My philosophy is very simple. We do what we do from our end, and we try to preach, and slowly it picks up, because now our kids are the brand ambassadors for the environment, and they keep talking to their friends, and their friends sometimes may get bugged up, but then eventually they change. You find a slow change. You can't have a drastic change in a day, but slowly they change. So they have been, very active in this. So even in Paris, where they are taking part, so they make it a point to bring their conversations toward environment friendliness, even in their business classes. So, when they come and share those experiences, it is overwhelming for us that, okay, we have done something good for the kids.
If I may add also,
yes,
together with the gardening program, we also started a zero waste management program where we really train the children to segregate at source. And of course, starting with refusing plastic and all that. But at school, we don't have trash bins in the classroom. They're asked to bring their own trash container for their own trash. And we have big bins in the garden where they can throw and segregate their trash also. And yeah, that's right. We have to start with what they can practice daily so that the consciousness, becomes improves in terms of not only gardening and food, but also taking care of the environment. And if we segregate, then the food waste they know goes into compost. And yeah, as I said, we've been harvesting and letting them taste what we've harvested. So we've harvested a lot of vegetables already, and it's part of their lunch. So I think it should go together, gardening and zero waste.
Thank you. Thank you. My son studied in a college in the city of Pune, and it's in the suburb of Pune. And they would have in the dining room, they would have a blackboard which said that how many kilograms of food wasted from their plates the previous day. It was just trying to bring consciousness. They would write every day on the board. And initially, it just didn't matter. But I think somewhere a seed was sown, and and some children would become more conscious, and they would nudge the others. Hey, look at that board, and then serve on your plate. So I think that's also something that I just thought I should mention for people to have an idea what can be done. Thank you so much for all the wonderful sharings. And it's now we have another 10 minutes that we can just go on. If there's somebody who can add something of value or anything at all, everything is of value here.
I would like to ask something, Dr. Shen Li. He mentioned food education is popular in China, no? Now, when I think of the food in China, we're always very happy, and we're missing to be invited to China. We can't go there at this time, so we really love the food in China. But when we look at the the raw materials, there is, there's 0.1% of all food is organic, I guess, in China, and so the raw materials are really not a good quality. What they make out of is amazing, but the raw materials are not good. And I thought that what Ben said, do not buy barcode food. That's a very good formula. So to cook already, yourself, to use materials that you get fresh, that's good. But if the materials, it would be a big advance if we could make those raw materials better quality, and yeah, so if we do the food education with the very bad quality raw materials, what does that mean? And also, how is actually organic or even biodynamic agriculture advancing in China?
And also because this is public problems. And from the point of my view and our team, and what we do is limited, but we do our best and to let the kindergartens and the schools, and we are doing food education and use the organic food as possible. And so if the cooking use organic materials, and the flavor and the taste will be better than the conventional Chinese food. If the kindergartens and schools cannot use organic food, because the cost of the organic food is higher than the conventional food, but we will persuade the schools or the kindergartens and to use the food raw materials without additives. Yeah. So we are doing best to make Chinese food better, and we are doing our best to let the Chinese children and eat organic or the natural food raw materials.
Thank you. Shen Li, you showed me one time this wonderful, amazing kindergarten in Zhengzhou. I mean, when I say kindergarten, you have to think of several stories. I don't know how many groups and I think maybe 1,000 children or something. And they had their own farm also, no? And you had a very beautiful eating room established there. Are they, how much of the food there is organic?
Yeah, perhaps the kindergarten is one of the biggest one in the world. And because the Zhengzhou kindergarten and have about 5,000 kids. And yeah, many years ago, and we established an organic farm, and just beside the Yellow River, and organic farm, and has about 225 Chinese moon, and so they can supply some natural and organic foods and for the schools, but it is not enough. And so we have many ecological and organic farms, and they do the cooperation and with the kindergartens, and so they can supply other natural or organic raw materials and for the children. And so this is one of the great advantage of food education. And because the schools and which we practice food education, and all the schools and can become the very bigger organizational consumers and for the farms. And so the farmers from these farms and do not worry about marketing, and because the children and will be perhaps the best consumers and for these organic farmers.
Yeah.
Yes. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's about 12, 11 o'clock now. And any other questions?
May I just add a little? When Walter, sorry, where's my view? Yeah, where am I? Okay, sorry. Yeah, when Walter mentioned about the quality of the plants, and that's also our concern, and that's why we partnered with this organic farm in the south of Cebu, where they have about 7 hectares, and we asked them, they're the source of our seeds, and then we also train the parents and the teachers to save the seeds from our produce. So that's a very important part of the program, saving the seeds also. Thank you. Just wanted to add that because it's real, it's a big problem. Yeah. We cannot trust the seeds from our Department of Agriculture. So we have to go direct to the organic farm. Thank you.
I think one of our one of our challenges is also to make the food, the organic food that we turn into food on the table taste good. You know, not that people think that organic food is alternative, but rather to make organic food the food that's just, you know, taken for granted. It's just it, and that it tastes good. We just had recently this experience. There's a group here that's wanting to come up with some dining in the dark initiative. And we had the whole board of this initiative come over, and we gave them an experience field tour, which involved a taste experience. So we blindfolded them, the members of the board, we blindfolded them and gave them just something very simple, you know, but because they were blindfolded, the experience of taste became so heightened, and we gave them nothing but just ordinary food. For example, just boiled cassava. And we gave them, for example, a salad that just came from our garden, but they were blindfolded and everybody said, wow, they taste so good and this is amazing. And when their blindfolds were removed, they just realized it's very ordinary vegetable from the garden. And to make the people understand from personal experience that organic food is good food, tastes good, that's, I think, key. We need to get the people to this kind of thinking, that it's not alternative. It should be what is common fare.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Grace. Yes, healthy food needs to be tasty if it has to be popular. Yes, and I work in that area too. So we will. It was a very beautiful session, very beautifully organically that grew, and we all could participate and benefit. I hope everybody benefited, and we can close this with a verse, but keep your questions on and keep in touch with each other. I'm sure some of you had messaged me, and I'm sure there was some interactions happening in between you all, and I'm very grateful to all those who shared, and it was a very generous sharing. Thank you. And please let us end with a verse by Grace.
I would just read the verse again that we started with. Every human being is an artist, a freedom being, called to participate in transforming and reshaping the conditions, thinking and structures that shape and condition our lives. Joseph Beuys. Thank you, everybody. That was a wonderful sharing.
Thank you, everyone. And
Thank you.
Please join us for the second session by Ricardo Ferreira, and that will be in India time, 1 p.m. In the afternoon. Please help me with the Philippines time and China time.
3:30 p.m. 3:30 p.m.
3:30
China.
p.m. Yeah,
Philippines.
3:30 p.m. Yes.
Malaysia.
Thank you very much, and I hope to see you all again soon at 3 p.m. your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Seetha.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shen Li. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you.
3:30. 3:30.
And
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everybody. All the participants may check out now, and we'll see you again 3:30 Philippine China time and 1 p.m. India time. Thank you very much. See you later.
Bye, Amerigo.
Hi, hi, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
If possible, would be nice to have the music as files because it's hard to mirror them.
I'll send them. I'll send them to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for everybody to leave so that
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I don't know who this Nie Han Yong is.